morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Popcorn Studios, Starseed Psyche Episode 19, The Plan to End the Kyuserax. Let's hop in and finally see how this war is brought to an end. And maybe we'll get some more of my now third favorite character, Crispin.
Previously on Starseed Psyche.
Glad to be here.
Kyuserax and his closest allies from the Subarwraith Squadron all went against orders and entered a portal that took them to a mysterious base where the mechanical invaders who have been plaguing humanity for the last year, the Kyuserax, are being created. They met and had a lengthy conversation with Crispin Parsons, the man who has been building the Kyuserax and has been...
Also, I probably didn't say this before in the guy's intro video, but I love his style. Oh, the coat, the clothes, everything. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of is just the glasses. I say simpler is better in my own opinion, but still, I love the guy's fit.
Orchestrating much of the attacks, as well as orchestrating how people perceive this enemy through the influence he has over the media. He showed them a video of a Kyusidian inventor named Inovrian, who'd developed the tech they're using to make the Kyuserax. He'd buried the facility they were made in, which he called the Alrakua, for humans to find and use to help progress humanity rapidly into becoming a spacefaring civilization.
Into the space age.
Unfortunately, a group called the Commission were the ones who found it, and when they weren't able to learn how to replicate the technology inside, they decided to create the Kyuserax to attack humanity and force progress forward through war.
Yep.
Kaio and his friends also saw firsthand that the
It's always bloodshed.
Japanese military chief of staff, Shijikaburu, is in fact a member of this commission,
Damn you, Gaboro.
as some of them had started to suspect, was one of the main people behind these attacks. The group was able to escape this base thanks to Kaio manipulating the egocentric Crispin Parsons, who believes himself to be a Starseed like Kaio and humanity's savior. Crispin donned a crown-like piece of Kyuserax tech and summoned a ship, along with his 1.11% share of the Kyuserax manufacturing materials in it, and transported the whole crew out of the base.
I thought the ship was the 1.11, but I am mistaken.
Into outer space, on the notion that he could then pin the whole Kyuserax attack on the Commission, and get the praise he believes he deserves as a savior to humanity. Let's see how long they can tolerate humoring this guy in the next chapter of Starseed Psyche.
I like him. I don't get the hate.
While the environment around us had suddenly become a lot more peaceful, I definitely wasn't feeling at ease. I may have been able to manipulate Crispin into getting us out of there, but what now? We couldn't let him get away with what he'd done, but we also needed him to help us reveal to the world that the Commission was behind the Kyuserax attacks. I glanced around the ship as if that might give me an idea. It had a similar silvery gray, smooth, rounded metal aesthetic to the base we'd just been in. The interior space was about 20 feet wide by 60 feet long. I was near the front, where Crispin was seated in a pilot's chair before a panel with some glowing blue hologram controls hovering around him. The rest of the ship was a little bare-bones living space-wise. There was a sort of kitchen-looking shelf emerging from one wall, and another set of panels that I didn't know what they controlled. Then, at the very back, there were two more of those printing arms sticking out of the floor and wall, like we'd seen printing the Kyuserax. As I should have expected, looking around didn't help me strategize at all, and unfortunately, my time to do so was up.
Hey! Let go of me, you savage!
Oh, wait, what
Crispin yelled. I whipped around to see Hekima clamping his gauntlet over Crispin's shoulder and grabbing the crown off his head to toss aside. He then tore Parsons out of the chair and dragged him away from the controls, before hurling him to the ground.
Adachi, get your dog on a leash this second!
Before Crispin could finish, Hekima stomped a boot onto his chest and pinned him down, then stuck a Subarwraith blade inches from the panicking man's face.
Whoa.
Hekima growled.
Easy.
You actually thought there was any chance we'd let you not take the punishment you deserve for all the people you've killed with those Kyuserax? The fact that you can look yourself in the mirror, let alone think of yourself as some savior, is baffling.
Hekima, I know you're furious. I know you are. Do not murder him. Do not kill him. Not yet.
We all circled around Hekima quickly. Whoa, Captain, let's cool it a second, I said, trying to remain as calm as I could. I know he's a monster, but we still need him as proof of what Buru and the Commission are doing. Crispin's head whipped towards me.
If you kill him now, the whole plan goes out the window.
Monster? I'm a hero, you swine!
Hekima swiped his blade, slicing through Crispin's jacket and carving a surface-level cut into his shoulder. Parsons cried out in pain as Hekima yelled.
We don't need him. We saw Brewer at the base. We can go back to the Super 8th compound, drag him out of there, and make him confess. This human garbage doesn't deserve to breathe another breath.
What is this?
Crispin snarled through tears starting to form in his eyes.
Did you lie to me, Adachi? I should have known the life of a true genius is a lonely one because no measly army monkeys like you or anyone else can comprehend my...
Dude, stop!
Crispin, unless you want to be murdered, shut the fuck up!
I interrupted. I'm literally the only thing keeping him from cutting you in half, so shut up and let me talk.
You're not stopping me from doing anything, Adachi,
Hekima retorted.
I'm making the call as captain that we should chuck this filth out into space and watch him suffocate. What else is even worth considering?
Oh, jeez.
There was pure rage in Hekima's eyes. He'd hidden it completely back in the base, but it looked like meeting Crispin and really everything today had broken him.
Yeah, he is
Unfortunately,
broken.
I was pretty tense too, and not hiding it well. If you hadn't just outed my whole manipulation thing I had going, I could have talked him into giving us something that we could take as proof to the world of what he and the Commission had done. But either way, he's still our most useful piece of evidence. What if Buru goes into hiding now and we can't get to him? He knows that we know.
We'll figure it out, but this maniac doesn't deserve to live while Suta is dead.
Hearing the name of our slain fellow soldier immediately made me freeze up. I once again saw
I completely forgot about that Superite soldier that had his head blasted.
in my mind Sarata Suta's headless body falling limp in the street in the first invasion we'd all faced as a squad. Hekima continued.
Forgot about that.
How many of our fellow soldiers are dead or maimed because of him? Suta's dead, Mirika lost her foot, Chip nearly died, and that's just soldiers in our squad that I was supposed to protect. That doesn't count all the other lost soldiers, thousands of civilians, and everyone who's still alive but has had someone they care about torn out of their life because this devil wanted to play God. I should carve his limbs off one by one right now.
Just like Waru in the other dimension. Oh, God.
Hekima's eyes were starting to water, and a tear rolled down to his trembling, snarling lips. I'd never seen so much unconcealed emotion from him. He was right about Crispin, but I still felt like we needed this guy's information. Captain, take your gauntlet off. I think
You think what, Adachi? You think I'm being irrational because my gauntlet is making me more angry? I take this off and I'll be just as pissed. But instead of carving this freak up, I'll choke the life out of him with my bare hands.
Okay, Chip, we're going to need the Yoga Lion's body over here. Grab him.
thrust his blade close enough that Crispin had to press his face against the ground to not be sliced. Panic started to set in, and I considered tackling Hekima away. I didn't want to get violent with him, but I wasn't seeing a choice. Nobody else seemed to have any idea of what to do. That is, until a very calm and yet somber voice said,
Astral?
"What if keeping him alive helps you keep more of your fellow soldiers from dying?" Hekima whipped his head to the side and leered at Phaestriel. Quinn and Chip stepped slightly aside so she could come closer into the circle surrounding Hekima. Her expression was one of sympathy and understanding. It even started calming me down. She went on, "I cannot imagine how difficult it is to be a leader and to see those you're leading injured and killed. While it is not your fault, I'm sure the feelings of guilt and grief could be overwhelming." A tear started forming in Faye's eye. The ones in Hekima's were rolling now, but he was still aggressively holding his blade forward.
"It is my fault. I was their leader. I was supposed to protect them, and I wasn't even with Suta when he died. But at least I can avenge him now."
Faye stepped
If you want to avenge him, killing Crispin isn't going to do it. And killing him isn't going to stop everyone else that has control over the Kyuserax robots.
closer.
Kyusidian? And whatever the hell they are. I can't remember.
It is not your fault, but you may have an opportunity
Oh yeah, no. Phaestriel is a Kyusidian, the Kyuserax are the fake ones. Right.
to prevent more deaths by, at least for now, keeping this man alive. His knowledge could be pivotal in stopping any future Kyuserax attacks from occurring. I can't promise that keeping him alive will help, but it may be worth holding on to any advantage you have at protecting your fellow soldiers. You do not deserve to carry the burden of those who have been hurt or lost, but your actions in this moment could help prevent further loss. Your desire to end this man's life is completely understandable, and I doubt anyone here would hold it against you if you moved forward, but it is worth considering that it may be in your own best interest to keep him alive for the time being. With that said, as far as I've seen, you are the captain of these soldiers, so the choice is yours to make.
After she said
Thank you,
that,
Faye
Faye
Astral.
stepped slightly back, as if giving Hekima the space to do what he wanted. I almost went into panic mode again. That was a nice speech and all, but what if he still did kill Crispin? Of course, I should have trusted that Faye knew what she was doing.
Oh, of course. Vestral always knows what C's doing. C's a boss. And that is a nice looking ship, Crispin. Good job. Next
Hekima
up.
stared down at Crispin for another moment. The egomaniac stayed surprisingly silent, besides his terrified, heavy breathing. Finally, Hekima pulled back his gauntlet. He deactivated his blade and let the weapon fall from his arm. He grabbed Crispin with his bare hand and pulled him up. Surprisingly quietly, Hekima said, "You're gonna live just long enough for it to be crystal clear to you that the only people who will remember you when you're dead are people who will know you as the pathetic, miserable monster that you are."
At least people will remember me.
Crispin snarled.
Crispin.
You're nobody. You won't even be a footnote in...
Before he could
Crispin.
finish, Hekima headbutted him right in the nose and sent blood splattering across Crispin's face. He stumbled backwards, and I stuck out my foot so that he'd trip and fall back to the ground. To Crispin's great displeasure, Quinn and Chip then tore apart his plaid jacket and used it to tie him up, even wrapping a gag over his mouth to keep him quiet.
Thank
Hekima
you.
said he needed
Thank
a minute,
you.
and he marched to the back of the ship. Part of me wanted to follow after him to make sure he was okay. Before I could decide whether I should, Toshiko started heading back there. As she passed me, she said, "I'll go. Talking to another captain might help." I nodded appreciatively
Yeah.
at her. She was
Yeah.
right. Hekima was clearly
That'd be very
carrying a lot
wise.
more weight than I realized as our leader. He was so good at hiding it. I knew Suta's death had hit him, but I hadn't realized it had hit him that hard. It might have hit me harder too if the day it happened hadn't had so much stuff going on, like meeting Faye and having both of my foretold handshakes. With some space to pause
That
and
is
breathe,
true.
Chip and I
That day was extremely packed. Finding that one intact. Oh my god, they set that bomb off. Even though, oh my god, these people are monsters. I know. Yes, we already knew they were monsters, but still.
finally had some time to get Quinn up to date on everything that had happened. I properly introduced her to Faye, told her about me being a Starseed, and helped put together all the pieces that had led up to what had just gone down in the Alrakua. I didn't mention my spirit guide handshake situation, since even Toshiko didn't know about that yet,
Honestly,
but
it
shared
doesn't matter.
basically everything else about my own experience in the last year. I wasn't going to say anything about Chip being a Repsoro, as that was his information to share if he wanted to, but he was
Yeah.
clearly fine with it, as he took over telling the story when we got to the part about Dr. Shotsia.
Yep.
I should have
his mother.
anticipated how excited Quinn would be by all this information. This is incredible. My manhwa is going to be the most famous comic of all time. Solo leveling is going to eat my dust. She then punched both me and Chip in the arm.
How?
How could you guys not tell me this sooner? I've never talked bad about the Cusidians. I rubbed my arm. Are you haven't you? No, she asserted. I mean, I kept my mouth shut when other people badmouthed them, I guess, but I always thought it was kind of suspicious how much it was jammed down our throats that they were the bad guys. It's not like they named the Kyuserax.
Oh yeah, that is
weirdly
true.
hit me in the gut when she said that. How many other people were like that? How many people questioned the story we'd been fed around the Cusidians, but had just been too scared of other people judging them to say anything? Maybe
Yeah,
the world
that's-
wasn't as against Cusidians as I thought. Maybe with Crispin no longer weaving the narrative, it wouldn't be too difficult to show people that they were just genuinely here to help.
Hold on. I know that is a good plan on, but wouldn't it also be good to have Crispin, make a few calls and tell people to start, telling the truth instead of just the whole Cusidians are evil bull that he's
Ironically,
disputing?
with Crispin and the Commission out of the way, maybe humanity really would be able to learn how to make stuff like the Kyuserax chips with the help of the Cusidians. Of course, first we had to stop any further Kyuserax attacks.
True.
Toshiko and Hekima came to join us at the front of the ship. Hekima looked a lot more at ease, though still a bit tense. He bowed deeply to us all. I'm very sorry about the Freakout Squad. Thanks for talking me down. He stood up from his bow and nodded
Hey, man.
at Faye,
It's
then
gonna
me.
be okay.
I smiled back at him, but giving me acknowledgement felt disingenuous. Faye had really been the one to calm him down. I'd been about to make things worse. Her ability to keep her cool and say just the right thing was still well above mine. Hekima continued.
You're learning.
So priority now is stopping the next Kyuserax attacks before they start up again. If we try to go back to the base now and share what we know, Uru will probably be waiting to counter with something and frame us as traitors. He's probably already got most people convinced that's what we are. Thankfully, as our slimy little prisoner over there said, the Commission is running low on whatever material it is that makes the Kyuserax. Faye then chimed in. I believe it is a mineral that I suppose could be best translated in your language as transmutanium. It is commonly used.
Transmutanium? Huh. I wonder if that's anything like the transmutate metal from the fourth Michael Bay movie.
By my people and some other races. It can change its size, form, durability, conductibility, and multiple other traits based on the intentions set by a particularly spiritually aligned inventor.
Oh.
The fact that an Ovrian managed to make a machine that could allow anyone to utilize it is quite an impressive feat, though it has clearly led to the challenges we now face.
Yeah, that's
right. Hekima nodded.
Yeah, that is
thankfully we've got a chunk of it in here ourselves and a machine to use it. He gestured.
Not too much of it though. You only have 1.11% of however much was actually in though. So, Crispin, how much was actually in though when you found it?
The printing arms at the back of the ship. It was then that I noticed Toshiko's foot was shaking, and despite the chaos of the day, she had a look of excited desperation on her face. Toshiko then said, Not to brag, but given we all use Super 8th gauntlets, you guys probably already know I'm pretty good at making weapons. Now we have a machine that even a schlub like Crispin can use to make weapons. Imagine what I can make with it.
Oh,
My
that's
heart
gonna be
started
awesome.
racing with excitement. Toshiko had mentioned that even if she had wanted to, the reason she could never have sold blueprints to other people to make the Super 8th gauntlets was because she needed to imbue each one with something called a Superite spark.
That
That
right,
spark,
I
with the
remember.
Kyuserax printing tech and her weapons building skills, could surely make some incredible tech to fight back with.
It's gonna be
I was
awesome.
already getting hyped picturing the new upgraded suits she could make us all. I then heard Crispin grunting and mumbling angrily through his gag, clearly displeased with the idea of us using his 1.11% of the transmutanium. I said,
How
I'm
much
sure
is
you'll
though?
make us some awesome stuff, Toshiko, but how do we find the Kyuserax to attack them before they strike next? Even if we could get our prisoner here to tell us where the attacks were planned to happen, odds are the Commission will change plans now that they know we have him. As I said
true.
that, Faye wandered over to the crown on the ground that Crispin had put on before summoning the ship. Faye set it on her head. She then tilted her head, and the whole ship started slowly turning. Fascinating. This device seems to be linked directly to the technology built in the Alrakua. Given the other Commission members seem to have the same devices, I doubt it would allow us to control the entire army of drones and ships,
But definitely a
it
good
should allow
chunk.
us to track them and possibly even take some control over the drones when in battle with them. It may take some time to decipher how to use this technology, but I am already feeling mental pulls towards various locations on your world below. Somewhat
Really,
like a
like
compass guiding the way. Chip added, Well, that's some right useful information there, Ms. Vastriel, but not to be the group cynic here, even if we can track 'em and Ms. Yamada can make some right fierce weapons, are we really confident enough to just go in the six of us? I reckon we're a fierce group, especially with those
Yeah.
upgrades, but if we do die in that fight, the truth about who made the Kyuserax could die with us, and the
Chip does have a point. It is only the 6 of them, and that's not enough.
Commission will get away with pinning this whole thing on the Kyusidians. There was a pause. Then Toshiko said, So we call in backup. Once we figure out where the biggest outpost of Kyuserax is, presumably wherever those new space-ready big bomber ships are, we call it into General Ritsu and the other squads. Either they come and fight with us and listen to what we have to say, or they come, fight the Kyuserax, then try to arrest us.
Yep, there it is.
Maybe we escape them, but worst case, even if they get us, we can still hand over to them a way to track the remaining Kyuserax and give them some additional weapons to fight with. The
Boom,
war will essentially
exactly.
be over with the space bombers destroyed, and we can all do our best to present the evidence we found about what the Commission did so they face justice for their actions.
And hopefully it's good
I
justice.
nodded hesitantly. I think that could work, but what if the biggest outpost of Kyuserax is in space? Those 4 ships we saw earlier might not need to return to Earth. We can get to them in this ship or in Phase, but how would the other Super 8 soldiers get there?
That's the
Right,
downside.
Toshiko replied. Well, Dr. Shotsia said she knew Buru was likely to get her working on space-ready vessels. Maybe she'll have some built quickly. If
Like a prototype in a way?
we'll
Maybe.
just have to cross that bridge when we get to it. Quinn then chimed in. Am I the only one forgetting a pretty crucial detail about this whole plan? The base we just teleported out of? The one that still has the ability to print Kyuserax stuff? Even if they're down to 6.8% of remaining materials, look how much they managed to make with the rest. 6.8 is still a lot of drones and ships. Before we do anything else, we should be finding a way to stop them from
It is a shit ton.
making any more, and we don't even know where that place was buried. Under the Great Pyramids, I immediately said.
Wait,
I looked
what?
up at Faye, wondering if she'd pieced that together as well. I elaborated. Maybe not the Great Pyramid specifically, but at least some old Egyptian pyramid. Crispin said they had to bribe the Egyptian government to keep quiet about the commission digging that place up.
Oh, that's right. He did mention that.
And Navrian looked like he was in a desert when he recorded that video. He spoke in a Middle Eastern sounding language, and Faye, you told me once how the Kyusidians helped build the pyramids the last time they came back to Earth, before the Galactic Federation called them away, right? That would have been when a Navrian was here. Faye smiled and nodded. I believe
To Egypt!
you are correct. All signs point to that. Hekima said. Good to know, I guess, but do we even need to know where it is? We teleported out of there. Can we just teleport back in, drop a bomb, and get out? Toshiko could probably figure out how to print the same type of bomb the Kyuserax used, right? Faye had her eyes closed, but I could see her pupils darting back and forth under her eyelids as she focused on using the crown. She said, I think I can gather how to transport us to a general location, but I'm not sure how precise I can be. Attempting to teleport to an underground location could turn out quite badly.
Yeah, it would always be easier to teleport into an open space than a closed space.
It is possible to return there.
Be very
He may be
difficult.
the only one who can show us how. Faye gestured to Crispin. Hekima snarled. So we have to let him open his big mouth again? I sighed. Afraid so.
Yes.
I walked over and
Ungag
unbound
him.
the gag from around his mouth while saying, Well, Parsons, what have you got for us? How do we get in and back out of the Alrakua quickly so we can destroy it? When it was untied, he spat the gag free.
You're all incompetent, puny specks in the eye of my grand scheme. Nothing
Nope, re-gag.
more than a brief inconvenience, and I certainly will not help you be more irksome than that.
I shrugged. Well, that sucks. You're no good to us then. He's all yours, Hekima. Hekima immediately marched back towards his gauntlet that was laying on the ground and picked it up. Crispin snarled.
You think you scare me? You don't. Source Energy wouldn't let its most important son die at the hands of a brute like you.
At that point, if I was the main guy, yeah, I know I said his name before, but my brain's not wanting the name right now. I would just look over and back. Oh, please, you're not any kind of Kyusidian at Starseed or anything like that. And you're just some egomaniac that thinks he is. 'Cause you don't even have access to the spirit guides. Yorick, say something. And dude, you're the only one that can heal me. Damn it, I forgot about that. Oop.
Hekima strapped on the gauntlet and activated the blade. I don't care if I scare you, but I am sure I can kill you as easily as squishing a spider. The difference is I actually feel bad when I kill a spider. He thrust his fist forward and a blade flew out so fast I actually thought he'd just done it. Crispin shrieked.
Wait, no, okay.
The blade stopped inches from his face. Hekima yelled.
Vroom.
Talk! And remember, if you give us false intel and make this go south, you die along with us.
Oh,
Crispin
yeah.
gave us surprisingly thorough instructions, albeit in a very condescending way, as to how we could use the Kyuserax crown. We were going to be able to teleport back into the base, but the ship would then need a minimum of 3 minutes to recharge its teleportation. Going back in was too big of a gamble. They may have evacuated, knowing that we could try coming back with a bomb, but more likely they had re-fortified the base with more drones.
Definitely.
Because of that, an idea came to us that Crispin was particularly displeased with. We teleport his ship and a bomb in without us.
Oh.
Faye and Toshiko figured out that the ship's mini printing bay could be removed from the vehicle while keeping it intact. So, if we had another place to set up camp, we could take it out for Toshiko to build weapons with, then send the ship away for detonation. That just left us with the question of where we could go to be safe and hidden from the Commission.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Faye knew
Need a place that's hidden, far from everyone else, and put... the reptiles.
just the place. She took the pilot
Shit, call your mother. We're making a surprise visit.
seat and figured out how to cloak the ship before starting us flying down towards the Earth below. The others were all farther back in the ship, chatting, catching Hekima up to what we'd told Quinn, and inspecting the printing bay. That gave me a moment alone with Faye. I walked up next to her seat. Hey, Faye, I know he already said it, but thanks from me too for getting Hekima to calm down and back off killing Crispin. I want to think I could have done it myself, but I think
No
things would
way.
have gotten a lot worse if you hadn't stepped in. How did you just know what to say? Faye looked up at me. Well, it's not simply a matter of knowing what to say, but also how to say it, and what energy you're speaking from.
Oh, yeah,
Whether
the tone.
consciously or subconsciously, people can pick up on the subtle cues of the energy you're responding to them with. Anger met
That
with
is
more
true.
anger can simply make them feel the need to get angrier still to defend their stance. I quickly observed that he was acting from a place of anger, but also understood from how he spoke that the anger was stemming from a place of pain and
Sorrow,
sadness.
grief,
I responded
pain,
to what
all
lay
of that.
under that anger instead of trying to counter the anger itself. I think you were responding very understandably given the situation, but given he was already in an agitated state, asking him to remove his gauntlet triggered a defensive response that simply made him more angry. I nodded and
Yeah,
exhaled
that's
sharply,
understandable.
realizing she was right. What I'd done was
gonna
like
happen.
telling someone who's freaking out, hey, just calm down. It never actually gets someone to calm down.
That's like telling a person I would just shout at the guy and, hey man, just sit down and breathe. And they'd be like, I fucking was shot at bones! Crap like that.
Just comes across as condescending. Faye continued. In order to allow him to calm down, instead of asserting my own views and how I first spoke, I asked him a question to give him the space to consider his own view of what would happen if he did kill Crispin. That likely started him realizing he may be doing more harm than good for those he wanted to protect, and was ultimately hurting himself more in the long run by doing what he intended to do. I then did my
Exactly.
best to acknowledge the feelings I perceived him to be feeling that were fueling the anger, and that gave him the space to feel them instead of blanketing over them with the anger. I was allowing him to feel in control of the situation while
Damn, Faye, you know what I just realized? You would have been so helpful with Clayton. Damn.
approaching him from a place of sympathy for what he was experiencing. I nodded. And I was approaching him from a place of fear that he might kill our best lead at outing the commission. I guess that fear was triggering some anger in me too, and he was sensing that. No wonder you did
Probably.
a better job chilling him out. She smiled. As I said, your response was a completely understandable one, Kaio. I was
You
brought
are
up in a
human.
community and world where we are raised knowing that a defensive response during interpersonal conflict rarely improves the situation. So it is natural for me to respond more easily from a place of compassion. Insecurity is a much more rampant phenomenon in human life, which means defensive responses are
Oh,
far
yeah,
more
it is.
common, to a point of essentially being expected. But keep in mind, I could not have handled the situation with Crispin as you did. I'm not certain we would have all gotten out of there alive if it weren't for your fast thinking and ability to deceive him as you did. I smiled back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I am pretty proud of how that turned out.
Did get the thumbs up from Yorick, so thanks a lot for that, Yorick.
Still, I wish I could have helped Hekima calm down the way you did. Well, instead of criticizing yourself for how you did not respond, why not think about how you from a year ago would have acted in some of the scenarios you face today?
Oh yeah.
I chuckled and shook my head.
Highly
Obviously,
aggressive.
Faye didn't realize that I considered her an emotional maturity rival, but it was funny how everything she was saying was a weird blend of being an inspiring lesson I could learn from, while also making me feel more competitive with her. I really wanted to become as mature or more mature than she was. Yeah, you're right, I said.
It's a great
Me
battle.
from a year ago would have been a mess today. I guess that helps me trust that I'm just going to keep getting better from here. As much as a part of me was feeling competitive, I was grateful to have Faye in my life. Toshiko definitely
people
still
would.
felt like the right choice for
She's
the
great.
love of my life over Faye, but my Kyuserian ally definitely gave me the exact drive to improve that Yorick had let me feel back on the day of the first attacks. She wasn't a rival in the traditional sense, but she was exactly what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Being around someone like her was giving me more rope with which to pull myself forward
You
on
gotta
my
keep
journey
climbing.
through a beautiful life. It also got me excited about where we were headed. If all Kyuserians were like her, then going to hang out with a bunch of them might help me mature that much faster.
I won't be trying to rush it like that yet, man. But that was nice. I really like this.
I hadn't considered this before, but Starseed Psyche might actually wrap up before the Trismegistus Academy, because the Trismegistus Academy has more episodes left than I thought, and Starseed
Ooh.
Psyche kind of has less episodes left than I thought. But bear in mind, I'm pretty much always wrong about how many episodes things have left.
Yeah,
Anyway,
man, this is episode 19. We are deep into this.
That's all for today, except of course for ending this video on some kind of positive or
inspiring
inspiring
note.
And the idea I want to leave people with today is the idea of how you look at someone who has something that you want, whether it be a personal trait or a physique or something that they own physically.
Yeah,
you can
stop
always
looking at
look
them
at
with
someone like
envy.
that through two different lenses, either envy or
exactly.
inspiration. If you look at them through the
Inspiration.
lens of envy, it's just a negative thing that makes you feel bad. But if you
Negative,
transmute
aggressive.
that into
Yeah.
inspiration, then suddenly that person can make you feel more energized and go, hey, if this person has that thing, it's proof that someone can get it, and that
We
means
can
I
do
can
it.
get it myself, and I should start working towards it. It's a good thing to consider anytime you feel
golden
the emotion
goal.
of envy coming up. I hope that's inspiring. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Monday. Goodbye.
Alright everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of you all next time when we flick back on. Until then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.